Hey, everyone out there in Rambling About Racing Nation. Matt Beamer here, joined by Charlie Hercus and
That's
Austin
me.
Reeves, bringing you another episode of Rambling About Racing. Let's just jump right into it. This is a production of ITM Media. Yes, we are here live from the ITM Media studio, as well as Charlie and Austin from South Alabama. Once again, I'm Matt Beamer alongside Austin Reeves, Charlie Hercus. Gentlemen, how's it going? How was your weekend?
It's going good. Had a real good weekend watching racing. Started building a box for my simulator off Rimatech. I bought the plans.
Remotech. Remotech. Not a sponsor yet, and not like that.
Should be as much money as I've spent with them.
I have spent a lot of money on Remotech as well, and that's that's an expensive site for sim gear.
Remotech. There we go. Well, I bought one of their DIY simulators and started building it.
It's got a C in it.
For sure. Anyways, had a great weekend.
That's good, man. Charlie, how was your weekend?
Yeah, good weekend. Had a lot of fun. Great family time this weekend. Still tried to watch racing. If y'all had Kelsey on Snapchat, she even put a picture of me on Snapchat saying we're on vacation and he's still watching the race. And that was me laying in a hotel bed watching a truck race. So can't get away with you can take me away from racing, but you can't take racing out of me for the most part. So, but we were at the Great Wolf Lodge and in LaGrange, Georgia. Amazing place. Had a fantastic time. I know my daughter Emma and her friend JC had a phenomenal time. As a matter of fact, I was told earlier that JC's still wearing her little wolf ears that you get. She was still wearing them all day today, even when they went out in the public. So I know she had a good time. Emma has even asked to go back Wednesday night with just me and Emma. And I hate to tell her I'm not. That's probably not going to happen. But if anybody ever gets a chance to go, I would highly recommend going. It's an indoor water park, all that kind of fun stuff, and it's super kid friendly. Like we literally just told Emma and JC not to go in the wave pool and not to go in the lazy river without us. Other than that, they walked up the steps, rode the tube slides back down by themselves. So they had a great time. I had a great time. Everybody that we went with, as far as Kelsey and her family and everything, everybody had a phenomenal time. So great weekend.
Nice, man. Well, I was on a vacation myself. My wife and I went up to Mars Hill, North Carolina. We went to stay with her aunt and uncle at their mountain house. So Margaret and Dudley, if you're listening, thank you for allowing us into your house. Really do appreciate it. And it was the first time in 4 months that we spent time away from our daughter. So we went to Johnson City, Tennessee, and we went to this restaurant called Labels up there. And if you ever get a chance to go to Johnson City, Tennessee, it's a college down at East Tennessee State University town. Go there when school's not in, because there was no traffic whatsoever in Eastern Tennessee when we went. And we went to this place called Labels, and it was a microbrewery, and they brewed their own beers. So Caroline and I got a few flights of beer. I drank a few pints of beer. Then we went to another brewery called Tennessee Hills, where we tried their whiskey and stuff at their distillery at another location. But this one had a brew. So we had more flights. And then on our way back, we stopped in this little no-name town in Tennessee and drank a beer at the bar there. So we got home. We said we'd be gone for about 3 hours, and we were gone for 6 hours.
Yep. So you heard it here first. Baby number 2's on the way.
That's why you do it at once, and you ain't got to worry about having another one.
That's true.
One time, done with it.
I mean, lucky you, Austin. But I
know
I would say we had a great time. The weather was great up there. When we got up there to Tennessee, the weather was just beautiful. They said it's going to be hot today, and it was in the low 80s. Perfect. I'll take it. It was quite wonderful, the fact that we had that opportunity to do that. It was great, but glad everybody's doing well here as far as you and Austin, Charlie. And I want to just say a quick shout out to Jason Reeves, who won this weekend. I guess, bracket racing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, he might have won, but this weekend was the 1-year anniversary of me beating him. So if you want to talk about that, I'll be more than glad to
Well, let's
elaborate
talk
on
about that real quick because we got someone supposed to be coming on here named Jeremy Smith from Dillon Motor Speedway going to pitch something here. But let's go ahead and talk about the 1-year anniversary there, Austin.
Yeah, so it's always a dream of a father and son battling it out, duking it out. Growing up, me and Dad would always go head to head. We have a love-hate relationship. We can be loving each other 1 minute and headlock the next. So last year we had a bracket race come up.
Jason's your dad.
Yes, sir. Jason is my dad.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Yeah, don't tell everybody that though.
Oh, okay.
So he started being a little cocky. He's a little big for his britches. He just started talking smack, and
both of them were having a good night that night.
So I pulled up to the shop Friday night, day before the race, walked right into our shop, and he pops off, smacks $100 on the hood of his car, and says, "I got you first round." All right, okay. And I was driving a buddy of.
Did you return the favor and smack $100 in and said bet taken?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Put your money where your mouth is.
All right.
So I was driving a buddy of ours, Mr. Jerry Turner's drag truck. He's like a second granddad to me. And it just so happened to work out where me and Dad ran first round. And in the staging lanes, Dad's the type of person, and this is where I get it from. He's going to get in your head. And he was just trying to get in my head. And to this day, he will tell you, no, I wasn't trying to get in your head. And he was just kept on and kept on and kept on. I was all right, well, hey, let's strap in. Let's see what happens. Do my burnout. And I was like, don't look at him. Don't look at him. Well, I turn and look at him, and he's hanging out his window like this. And I'm like, come on, man. I'm your son. You're not supposed to be doing that. Like,
we apologize for the jester there. Austin Reeves will be fined.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, we are live.
We are live on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Just FYI.
He was telling me I was number one. Sorry about that.
So you already done it.
Yeah, man. Might as well throw it up there again. Right? I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
So I leave and he leaves, and about half track I look and I'm like, I got you, buddy. I got you. Whiff on a couple times. They don't have no wind lights at Cottonwood Dragway, so pull around. He's in front of me, and I get that time slip, and it says winner left lane, and I was grinning ear to ear. Like, I had been dreaming of this day since I was a little kid, and I was not going to let him live it down. So for about probably 6 months, I'd call him once every week and just to let him know that, hey, I beat you first round. And this weekend was the 1-year anniversary, and I sent him a text, made a Facebook post, and I think I posted on Twitter. So,
okay, saw that.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna...
so there was just crap talking galore for the past year. Because Austin's got a list of people he wants to beat. And, it's got his daddy on there. It's got Jeff on there. It's got Jerry on there. It's got Dustin on there. So
I'm checking them off one by one. So
hey, man, that's good. Well,
one person he won't ever beat down the drag strip is probably going to be me. Only for the fact I probably won't ever have a ride to go down the strip. But anyway, Jerry has told me I'm going to run his truck here soon. So
I'll just stick to beating you around the round track. That's good with me too.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. Well, I'm glad everybody's doing well. Hope everyone's doing out there, whether you're watching us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, or listening to us on your regular podcast platform or on B.U.R.N.S Radio. Really do appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoyed last week's episode where we went down the rabbit hole. We had fun that episode. If you missed it, go back and check it out either on YouTube or your regular podcast platform. But now we get into before we get going here, we get into our question of the week, which was, should NASCAR forego the single lug nut and redesign the wheel to fit 5 lug nuts? I'm going to start off with one of you two, unless you guys want me to go.
I'll go first on this one.
All right, what's up?
I was against it really and truly coming into the season, But after this past weekend, I've said from the get go that it's the team's fault that these aren't staying on. I don't think it's a design issue. Now it may be a design issue to where they can't get it off sometimes, but Matt, me and you were FaceTiming during the end of the race last night, and NBC really went into detail, more detail than I've seen yet, as far as how this lug nut design works. We all knew there was little splines that the wheel had holes in the back of it, and it had to line up with the spline. Well, on the end of that hub, on the end of that nose, is a locking mechanism that is easy to tell, unless you're getting in a hurry, whether that little red locking detail pops up or stays down. If it stays down, it means you ain't got it tight. If it pops up, you're good. I wasn't a fan of it, but I'm quickly becoming a fan of the single wheel. So I say stay with it. I think once you figure out, a little bit of the sidewall issue, maybe stay with the single lug, but go to a slightly smaller rim to get more of a sidewall tire. Maybe that's something they can think of or run around the engineers' heads. But I like it. I say keep it.
All right, I'm going to hold you off right there because we got someone in the bullpen right now for a baseball term. We got Jerry Smith going to be coming on here to pitch something that he wanted to pitch as far as street stock racing for the Dillon Motor Speedway here. So I'm going to bring Jerry on here and hear what he has to say. And hey, Jerry, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good, guys. Appreciate you having me on the show. I just wanted to talk a little bit about our Charles Hutto Memorial Race that we're going to have at Dillon Motor Speedway on July 9th. Charles Hutto was a big-time supporter of racing, and he was a racer. He sponsored classes at Concord Motorsports Park and Dillon Motor Speedway. He sponsored cars at multiple tracks, and he was a street stock racer himself. We lost Charlie last August due to a massive heart attack. And because of his support that he had for racing, I was Charles' crew chief for about 10 years. So I wanted to do something in his honor. So I reached out to Ron Barfield last December and kind of pitched an idea to him. And he said, let's go with it. Let's make it happen. So on July 9th, 75 lap street stock race, Mid-Atlantic Street Stock Series, the Ron Barfield's touring series that he has. Man, we're going to have cars for everywhere. Now, Ron pays $1,500 to win this race, but I have went out and got lap sponsors, and I have over $3,000 raised in lap sponsorship to go along with what Ron Barfield normally pays. We have a $300 pole award. We have a $200 halfway award. We sold every lap, and most laps we sold them twice, some even 3 and 4 times. We have a hard charger award. We have the furthest traveled award. We have a hard luck award. Just, all kinds of things to try to spread some money out throughout the field to help everybody out. And, we just want to do this in Charles's honor. His family's going to be there. A lot of his coworkers is going to be out there at the track. Charles's grandchildren is going to give the command to start engines. So I look for a lot of moisture in the air coming from people's eyes on that night because, like I say, everybody that was in racing that was around Dillon Motor Speedway or Concord Motorsports Park before it shuts down, everybody knows who Charles Hutto is. He was general manager at Town & Country Ford for 35 years, and right before he passed away, he bought into a Dodge dealership, something to try to help his children to have something to move on to when he did pass away. And unfortunately, we did lose him last August. And I just want to come on. And any place I could put the word out about this race, I've got people's contacting me about this race from, Wisconsin, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. All kinds of people want to come and support this race because with the $3,000 that we got raised in lap money and the $1,500 that Ron Barfield pays to win this race, I'm telling you, this could be one of the biggest street stock payouts on the East Coast.
Yeah, I follow Dylan on social media and whatnot, and y'all have like a New Year's Bash there, which is a pretty big street stock race in itself. So if it matches anything like that, I expect it to be a pretty big turnout and a really great race because street stock, if I'm not mistaken, that's really y'all's biggest class, and that's probably the most entertaining class at that track for sure.
You're exactly right, guys. Ron has anywhere from 40 to 50 cars for the New Year's Bash race show up. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have that many cars on July 9th there. And a lot of them, they told me, hey, we're coming just to support Hutto, man. We wouldn't normally travel this far for that kind of race. But, like I say, Charles supported and sponsored so many different cars and divisions along the way. They just want to come in support of Charles because they know what kind of person he was, what kind of heart he had, and his involvement in racing. I mean, Charles would give you anything he had. If we had a spare in the trailer and someone come and needed it, Charles give it to him. It's just that simple. And it was, if we loaned him a transmission, it wasn't, you got to take transmission out tonight and give it back to us. It's like, hey, next time you see us, get us the transmission back. That's just the kind of person he was. He didn't care if you were from Wisconsin and you borrowed a transmission or you borrowed a gear. If you wanted to ship it back, that's fine. If not, next time we saw you at the racetrack somewhere, he'd get his piece of equipment back. And that was just the type of person he was. And, I miss my bud. He was my best friend. We talked every single day, Monday through Friday. We both was 30 minutes from home from our jobs. We both would call our wives, tell our wives we were on our way home, and then me and him would talk for 25 minutes on that ride home, Monday through Friday, every day. And I missed that phone call. It's, last year was kind of rough. I lost my dad in July. I lost my best friend in August. So I had a rough couple months there. And I just wanted to do this, and that's why I reached out to Ron and told him what my idea was. And we got a couple other things that may be in the works that we probably won't announce till race day. But I'm just going to say this could very well be the biggest payout for an asphalt street stock race anywhere on this side of Mississippi.
That's really impressive, Jerry. And I'm glad you're doing this for your friend who sounds like he did a lot. And unfortunately, I don't know much about Charles here. And, and I think that's kind of a travesty, it sounds like.
It is. And, I'm just glad that his family, I reached out to them after I talked to Ron and made sure they was okay with this. And, they think it's great to be able to do something. None of them's been to the racetrack since he passed away. This will be the first time any of them has made it back to a racetrack. So they, like I said, there's going to be a few tears that day. But again, we just want to support Charles and, Ron Barfield, he's a great promoter. He's a former racer, track owner. His mom, his dad, his wife, his kids, everybody works at the racetrack there. So it's a true family type event. So what a better place to put that on. Charles's last race he won, I went through and did a little bit of research. The last race that he won was a memorial race for a guy that had a heart attack at the racetrack. And Charles died of a heart attack. So, it's kind of fitting to be able to do that at a place that he won his very last race for and a memorial race.
Well, I'm certainly glad that you took the opportunity to come on the show and pitch this event here. It's going on July 9th, you said?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Right. So anybody out there wants to go see a good street stock race and for a good cause and good memory, July 9th is the place to be at Nashville Motor Speedway.
And I'm still taking lap sponsors if you want to buy a lap. We're starting out at $25 a lap, but you can buy whatever you want. I've got people bought $200 and $300 worth of laps. You can hit me up on my Facebook page. I also have a Charles Hutto Memorial Facebook page. You can hit me up on there. And Matt, if not, if somebody reaches out to you, you know how to get a hold of me. Tell them to shoot them on over to me. We'll take sponsors, lap sponsors all the way up until the day before the event.
Sounds good. I'll definitely definitely send me the information, and I will definitely post it on our social media to get the word out there, Jerry.
I sure will. And guys, I appreciate you taking some time and letting me be here on y'all's show. It really means a lot for me to be able to get out and try to promote this. I've been doing radio shows for the last couple of weeks. every place that I could find that somebody would let me come on board and talk a little bit. As you can see, I'm kind of shy. I don't like talking and everything, but I just wanted to try to put this out every place I possibly could. I got a couple more shows rest this week and a couple next week. And you guys that's doing the podcast now, man, y'all guys are great, allowing me to come on board and do stuff like this.
Well, really do appreciate it because we do like supporting the local short track, especially in my backyard here in South Carolina. Really do want to get the word out there. And by all means, it sounds like you have decades in racing. We definitely would like to have you on. I know you're a little shy, you said, but definitely have you on. I'm sure you have some good stories and about racing.
The people like Charles Hutto, they're getting fewer and far in between these days. Me and Austin was just talking about a guy that, matter of fact, runs street stocks. Kinston and Montgomery. His name is Charles. He'd give you the shirt off his back if he could or if he needed to. And like I said, unfortunately, people like that are fewer and far in between these days. It's sad to see, and that's what the sport's coming to. But definitely get out, support your local tracks. That's where the roots are. That's where everything starts, and it starts in the series. Just like the street stock series and stuff like that. So I encourage everybody that is listening and can make it to Dillon Motor Speedway July 9th. By all means, show up. I'm sure it's going to be a great race.
Well, like I tell everybody, I don't care what track you go to, but get out and support your Saturday night, Friday night racetrack. We'd love to have you at Dillon July 9th, but if you can't make it to Dillon Motor Speedway, go to a racetrack somewhere and support them, because if we don't have fans in the stands, we can't continue to have racing. You've got to have that. Most tracks are not having too much trouble getting cars at the track, but a lot of tracks is struggling to get the fans in the stands. So come support your Saturday night, Friday night racetrack. Come and watch some good racing. Bring a friend, because that friend may bring another friend next time. Next thing you know, we got great crowds back in the stands. And I know the pandemic hurt us a lot and brought a lot of tracks down. A lot of tracks you could go, social media and stuff like that and watch the races. But I've always said this, a true fan that's wants to watch racing is going to come to the track. It doesn't make no difference whether you can watch it on the internet or not. He's going to be there. That's your true friend. You want that true fan to bring a friend to the racetrack, and then that one may bring another one. So get out and support any racetrack you can support. I'm an asphalt guy. However, I don't care if it's dirt. I don't care if it's a drag strip. I don't care what it is. I just want to see fans go out and enjoy some good racing.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jerry. That was well said. I really do appreciate that, and appreciate you, contacting us, and definitely have your number and your contact information. We'll stay in touch. And like I said, maybe have you back on the show to learn about your history in racing and dive more deep into that. And I'm curious to know. That kind of opened up the curiosity for me to see what you did back at Dillon Motor Speedway.
Well, I've been involved in it since I was about 3 weeks old. I had a dad that raced, an uncle that raced, cousins that raced. So I've been around it my entire life. I even tried the driving thing, and I realized I was a little bit better working on race cars than I was driving.
That sounds like Austin.
So, I give up the driving thing. I do try to sneak in one every once in a while when we're at the track practice or something other. As long as my wife don't know about it, get in and run a few laps. So.
Yeah, Austin figured out he's better with a headset on rather than a helmet.
All right, guys. Again, I appreciate you letting me come on here and support this. It really means a lot. And reach out to me sometime, guys. I'd love to come on board and talk a little racing. There's nothing like some good bench race talk. Anytime you guys want me on there, just let me know.
Definitely will, Jerry. Appreciate it. We'll get the word out as much as we can about July 9th at Dillon Motor Speedway.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, no problem, Jerry. All right. Well, that was Jerry Smith. Make sure I'll post all of his information on there about the memorial race coming up here on our podcast platform and all of our social media coming up here. And I might even try to make it up there July 9th. Maybe I could bring the wife, and maybe this will be Maury's first chance to experience racing. And what better way to do it than at the local short track at Dillon Motor Speedway?
As long as you're at Kinston July 23rd.
TBD. Anyway.
That's what I figured.
Man.
Oh my!
We'll let you spot. I'll give it the headset.
Oh, okay.
We need to let him call a corner because last time he spotted for me, I only ran about 3 laps before I had to park it. So,
yeah, the last communication I heard from Charlie was, "I've lost power." It's like, okay, bring it in, clear.
Yeah, I've had a couple of them races with Charlie.
Well, now we get to Austin's answer to the question of the week: should NASCAR re-engineer the wheel for 5 lug nuts or just keep it at 1? What do you think, Austin?
They can keep it. NBC really went into depths on how it actually works. I enjoyed it. If they do want to change it, I don't think it'd be too hard. It's a common style rim, I guess you could say. And if you look at most modern vehicles that ride around town, they have some funky designs in their 5 lug or 6 lug. But for me, I'd say keep it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, after NBC, and you and I talked about this before the show, Austin, the way they explained it, why couldn't Fox explain it like that? Because either I didn't do enough research into the single lug nut to realize that there was a locking mechanism, or I missed it anywhere between the Daytona 500 and Sonoma that Fox said, yeah, there's a locking mechanism in there. He's just like, how these wheels keep failing.
Yeah,
I mean, the lug nut.
We all three knew that there was, one hole and like 18 holes in the back of the rim with 6 different little studs sticking off the hub or the rotor or whatever for everything to line up. But none of us knew about a locking mechanism.
Yeah, and
up until 10 o'clock my time last night.
Up until Steve Letarte said, hey, there's a locking mechanism. It's like, oh, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, the way I see it now, I mean, NASCAR has traditionally been a 5 off, 5 on. I mean, you still get it in the Truck Series, you still get it in the Xfinity Series, but you don't get it in the Cup Series, and I think that's kind of sadder than the numbers being moved, because you're used to, I mean, pre-race, you're used to just hearing those air guns just scream on pit road while teams are getting them prepped up for the race, and I personally miss that. I missed the 5 lug nuts and everything like that. Now, I think because NASCAR sees the fandom of Formula One rise and Indy Car being stable, I mean, just that single lug nut, I mean, I think they kind of went to it in that. But if you wanted to keep it kind of as stock as you can, what car has 5 lug or 1 lug nut? Usually it's a minimum of 4.
I'll say this. I think there's less room for error on the single lug nut than there is with 5. You see pit road times all over the place now, anywhere from 9 seconds to 12 seconds. I think the average that we were seeing last night is about 10 seconds for, 4-tire stop and fuel. But man, if you struggled the least little bit, I mean, it puts a lot more on these pit crews, I think, doing the single lug, and it makes things a whole lot more interesting. I mean, we saw I think it was Denny Hamlin have multiple issues with, I think, the right front or something last night, and it cost Suarez. Suarez had a top 5 car easy, but he just couldn't get back to the front after a pit road issue. So I like the single lug nut only for the fact of less room for error on pit road, and you pay a tall price if you make an error.
Yep, and you pay an even taller price
if it comes off.
Come off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's kind of self-policing. You make a great point. I like it only for that. I mean, they took away from the tradition point of view with the 5 off, 5 on. I'm kind of disappointed about that. But there's really nothing I can do. I'm sure that if they really wanted to, they can engineer 5 lug nuts on there, and it'd be fine. But they went from steel to aluminum. They did a whole lot of things, and I mean, I'm sure that wheel could handle 5 lug nuts. It doesn't have to be 1 lug nut, but that's just me. I'm not an engineer, but you bring up a great point, Charlie. But let us know what you think using hashtag what you think ITM for our question of the week, not just for this week, but for next week's question of the week, which we'll get to at the end of the show. And you guys ready to cover Nashville in the SRX series?
Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Yep. So the Nashville race, we're going to start off with the truck. We're going to start off in Nashville and then go to SRX. the Truck Series race, Ryan Preece won. Congratulations. Second year in a row that he's won there in the Truck Series. And what's crazy about it, the positions 1, 2, 3, Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, and Carson Hocevar, my bad, started in the same place that they finished. But gentlemen, initial thoughts on the race. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, for the Xfinity truck and SRX races, I caught the highlights, but there's one incident in the truck race I wanted to bring up to you guys, since you guys are racers. But what do you guys think of the truck race?
I only caught like the last couple of laps. I honestly, I forgot about it. I caught the literally tail end, like maybe 5 laps.
All right. What about you, Charlie? I guess you just admitted when you were there at the water park there in Georgia, you were watching.
I watched the majority of it. Great racing at times, but man, it just ain't what I would typically want to see in a truck series. But overall, I thought it was a good race. I thought it was definitely better than the Xfinity race to me, from what I did see of the Xfinity race. Just lacking a little bit, but better than what it's been being. I'll say that.
Right. There was this point in the race, and again, I watched the highlights, didn't catch watch the whole thing, where Carson was getting blocked by John Hunter Nemechek on the backstretch. And I want to bring this up to you guys. That was, and to me, I don't know if I think Charlie caught it. I don't know if you caught it, Austin, but what happened was John Hunter Nemechek was on the outside, came down what it looked like to me on Carson, and spun out John Hunter Nemechek. Now, in racing, is there a code where if somebody's trying to throw a block that you let off or anything, or is what Carson did totally acceptable, saying you're going to drive into me and spin out?
How far into the race was it?
And what was it, Charlie? I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
I'm not sure, but I don't think it matters at what point in the race. At a place like Nashville, where having runs and having momentum off the turns and stuff like that is everything. I mean, that's how the majority of the passes were made in all the series this weekend. There was having that run off the corner. There's a time and a place to block. I feel like, he made that move a little too late.
Right.
And he paid the price for it. If you're going to block somebody, you're going to take the chance of getting a bumper laid to you a little bit harder than what you thought. And then if you come across the nose of them and you spin out, then you made a stupid block. I'm sorry. Right. So I'm not a huge fan of Carson Hocevar by no means, but it wasn't his fault.
No, it didn't seem like. It seemed like that was John Hunter Nemechek's fault, trying to throw a block. If he was in fact trying to throw a block, he could have just came down onto Carson and not. I'm sure the spotter went inside. I wasn't listening to the spotter communication, but I'm sure the spotter said something like, "Hey, he's right there, heads up," and got spun out. I mean, that stuff happens a lot more than people think. I mean, it happens a few times throughout the season. I've seen it a handful of times in my 20 plus years of watching NASCAR. So it isn't anything new, but I mean, we see it in the Cup Series and back in the day where, especially on restrictor plates, where people would block Keselowski, and he said, I'm not going to lift anymore for you. You block me, you're going to get wrecked.
I was actually going to use that as an example that, Brad Keselowski is one of the few, and he's not going to let up if you try to throw a block on him. Like, if he's there, he's there. He may get wrecked out with you, but he's going to prove a point. And me and Austin's been in situations, even on the short tracks, that, a place like Kinston, you may have the outside and they come up on you more so than coming down on you, being it's a short track, but because they think they're clear. I can't tell you how many times I've let off just to keep from putting somebody in the outside, in the outside wall. And it's usually the same car, 96, every time. But he's the world's worst about people all the time are the world's worst about driving across the noses of people. So eventually you get tired of it. and you're tired of letting up and losing so much momentum just because somebody wanted to put a stupid block. So eventually you're like, well, you're going to get the bumper if you try to block me.
Yeah, and I didn't see anything wrong with that. I want to talk about an SRX series event that happened here real quick. We'll shift here to SRX that ran in South Boston here this last weekend. Again, didn't watch the race, but watched the highlights. And Tony Stewart won. And I find it crazy how the co-founder of the sport wins and won the championship last year. But that's going down the SRX iceberg here, I feel, in the rabbit hole here. But there was this incident. Bring it up here.
With him and what's his name?
Francis Jr., Ernie Francis Jr. and Tony Stewart. What happened was Helio Castroneves spun out Paul Tracy. Paul Tracy was leading. Back a few car lengths back, you had, I believe it was Ernie Francis Jr. come down on Tony Stewart. Now, there was an accident in front of him, and I want to get your guys' point of view on this too. The accident was in front of them. And it looked like the top lane was blocked, and it looked like Francis Jr. was taking evasive action, going low to try to avoid what he perceived to be an accident. Now, Tony Stewart at the break got really upset with Ernie Francis Jr. by grabbing him and kind of teaching him something like, you don't come down on him. He even said some comments like, I got a whole bag of dirty tricks that I could pull on these people. Don't try me, this and that. Now, I think Tony kind of overreacted a little. He pulled an old school Tony Stewart there, in my opinion. I don't see what Francis did wrong in coming down on Tony Stewart, avoiding an accident, avoiding what he perceived to be danger in front of him. But I want to get your guys' opinion on it. If you did see it, I hope I explained it well enough to you. It looked to me just like a racing incident. He didn't mean to do that on purpose. But Tony Stewart took it really personally and let him know his displeasure. And, of course, when he grabbed him and Tony Stewart was schooling him, Francis wasn't going to fight back. He's just like, yes, sir, I get it. Yep, you're right. But what do you guys think of that? I mean, to me, I think Tony Stewart went overboard a little. The punishment didn't fit the crime, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I didn't see it at first. And once they showed the replay after Tony grabbing Francis Jr., it just like a racing incident. He was trying not to hit Paul Tracy that spun out. I think Tony Stewart just, lost his cool. Nothing. Francis Jr. didn't do anything wrong. He was just trying to get out of the way and not hit anybody head on, damage his car. Tony just happened to be there at wrong place, wrong time. It didn't mess his car up because he went on to win. I think a short fuse moment for Tony Stewart led to that.
Now, if you were in Ernie Francis Jr.'s seat, I know what I would have done, but I'm curious to know what you guys would have done. Would you have just said, okay, yeah, you're right, 100%, whatever, just to diffuse the situation? Or would you said kind of, hey, man, here's the situation. This is what I saw. If you were there, my bad. I mean, you don't need to get your panties in a wad about it.
Here's the thing about that series is they don't run spotters. They don't run spotters every race, like any race. So it's more of a drive out your mirror situation than anything.
But if it spins in front of you, are you looking at your mirror? Or are you looking at what's in front of you?
No, you're looking in front of you all day. So, Tony definitely overreacted. I'm not going to argue that at all. But if you're Francis,
I think I would have stood up for myself and said, no,
yeah,
that didn't happen.
I think you have to, and you have to explain the situation. Like, look, this ain't like normal series. We don't have somebody just telling us where to go, in a wreck situation. We're having to judge that for ourselves, and I'm not looking anywhere else. So,
right.
It's a tough call. I guess I could see it either way, but I definitely lean more towards Francis in this situation where he was just trying to avoid a bigger wreck in front of him than sideswiping somebody or whatever.
Right. And I feel like if you put your hands on me, regardless of what the situation is, like Tony Stewart did to Ernie there, that I would have bucked up a little more and said, get your hands off me before you get hurt, man.
I mean, he had him around the collar and was picking his whole fire suit up. That's
yeah. I mean, I'm wondering.
Austin did that to me once, and he asked Austin how that turned out.
Right. Either Ernie Francis Jr. Either Ernie Francis Jr. is the calmest type C personality out there, or he just folded over to Tony Stewart. I don't think I would have taken that, especially in a series like SRX. I would have just said, you know what, Tony, screw you. Get your hands off me. And when you go out there, you got a whole bag of tricks. Well, guess what? Rookie's got some new ones here too, kid. Old man. I mean, I'm not going to take that. If you want to make a name for yourself, I mean, go for it. I would, if I was Ernie, I would have wrecked Tony Stewart. He wouldn't have won that race.
I agree with you but you can see the fear in his eyes. Like when the camera zoomed in on him, his eyes were real big, and he was shook.
Hey, he was shook up, but
probably got caught off guard. To be honest with you, so
that's what it looked like. But I agree. Don't come up and put your hands and.
I mean, regardless if you get caught off guard or not. I mean, if I get caught off guard, I don't care who it is. My adrenaline's going to pump up, and now I'm like, we're going to fight. I'll fight you.
I guarantee you, he wouldn't have grabbed Paul Tracy like that.
No, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have grabbed Ryan Newman like that.
No.
But
no, Nick Newman.
Right. But this scrawny little kid, probably 150 pounds, soaking wet, and Tony Stewart's not getting any skinnier. He's not getting any buffer. I mean, he's just getting bigger. I mean, that guy's just ballooning up. But I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't have taken that. I don't care who it is, Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman. I'm like, screw you, man. You has been. That's what I would have said to him and piss him off even more. I don't care if you are the co-founder of SRX Series. I'll whoop your butt. Whether either here on pit road in front of everybody or on the racetrack in front of everybody. But I'm a bigger talker than I am a action doer because I'm not a racer. So who knows what I would have done in that situation? Just saying.
He'd probably did what Brad Kozlowski's doing back there. Just like, look, here's the beer for you and me.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. But I wanted to get your points on that. We got coming up SRX race coming up this next weekend, and those are a lot of fun. So we'll give you the times and date on that. And I got to say one thing before we go on. We didn't do a preview for last week's races, and I missed
we've missed out a couple of races in a row now.
I messed up a lot last episode, and if you want to have a fun little game,
he had drank too much.
Well, no, here's a fun game, and I'll reinvade it at the end of the show. If you could go on YouTube and find where I messed up, and tell me and write and DM us or whatever, just because you don't want to put it out there. And you get it, I'll give you a Rambling About Racing t-shirt. Boom, 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 boom. There you go. Okay, so now we'll go into the Xfinity race at Nashville. To me, kind of a boring race, but Justin Allgaier winning that race. It was pretty status quo race, if you ask me, just based on the highlights. What do you guys think of it?
I didn't get to watch it, but I got to watch like the last 10 laps maybe, and that was when Allgaier had already gotten like a 5-second lead, and then from second to third was like another 2 or 3 seconds. And I'm like, this has long green flag runs written all over this race. So based off of just those last 10 laps or so, I was like, well, this I'm glad I missed it because that was probably a boring race to watch.
Yeah, it didn't really strike up to me. Did you watch it, Austin?
Yeah, I watched it. It was clean air was the key.
Yep.
Allgaier got out front. Only kind of cool thing was watching Sam Mayer and Gibbs go at it for a little bit, but nothing happened. So, but it wasn't the best Xfinity race I've watched this year.
No, it wasn't for me either. Xfinity is kind of hit or miss. It's kind of like the Truck Series now. Mm-hmm. Now we get to the Cup Series race, and I thought I was going to miss it. I was actually on the way home from the mountains, listening to it on MRN. 40 laps in, red flagged the race because of lightning. So they red flagged. There was a delay for about an hour and 30 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was a little over an hour, just a little over an hour.
So they were almost fixing to go back out on the track, and then another lightning strike, so they had to go back for 30 minutes more.
So I finally get home. I unpacked the truck and everything, and I'm watching the race now. So now we're watching the race, and then another lightning delay happened, but that time it followed by rain. So that was a couple hour delay. Finally got the race going. What, Charlie? About 10 o'clock my time, 11 or 9 o'clock your time there in the Central.
It started back. I zoned out, so I don't know if you said something about the rain delay that lasted for a while. But I think it started back probably around 11 your time, 10 my time.
Oh yeah, actually,
It was between 9:30 and 10.
Yeah, it was late because it was after 11 before I went to bed. So
yeah, and I mean, it was a good race. I mean, a lot of strategy on pit road, a lot of 2 tires changes. Clean air was again the key. Kyle Busch taking that chance and taking 2 tires by staying out in the front, clean air, and Chase Elliott took advantage and won. Charlie saw my reaction, wasn't the happiest to see Chase.
Oh, my butt hurt.
First of all, I wasn't butthurt. I could care less about Chase Elliott. I think he is right up there with the Golden Boy status of NASCAR, like Dale Earnhardt Jr. was. I don't like him.
Chase Elliott's got a championship. Dale Earnhardt Jr. doesn't.
Yeah, well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. I mean, here we go down a rabbit hole. I mean, Chase Elliott to me, whatever. I don't care. He won the championship in 2020. Whoop-de-doo. I don't care if he's the most popular driver. I really think if you're NASCAR's most popular driver, it makes me cheer against you even more. That's my thing. I think that's just a theory of mine that I'm going to throw out there, that if you're NASCAR's most popular driver, like Dale Earnhardt was, and now Chase Elliott is, or Dale Earnhardt Jr. was, and Chase Elliott is, that I'm going to cheer against you because I don't see how he's the most popular driver. I really don't.
Well, that's what I kind of talked to you about last night, and I know it went into it because he had money, or whatever.
He had money and he had his dad's last name. That's the way I feel.
Yeah, I understand the last name, but I got to argue where Elliott made a name for himself. Chase made a name for himself, regardless of Elliott, made a name for himself, coming up through the ranks in late models and all that. I mean, he was winning late models, not because he had money, but I'd say he had talent because he was doing it at 11, 12, 13 years old. So I get it. Yes, having good equipment makes a world of difference. I won't argue that fact at all. But we've seen plenty of other people. Austin and me both have seen plenty of other people come to Kinston and Pensacola and Georgia and all that with top-notch equipment and get waxed. I mean, and that's mainly because of this whole, pay-to-play rides and stuff like that. And
or they qualify good, and then once they get in a field of cars, they crap their pants and.
It was too late. You already said it. But anyway. But, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a world of difference just going out there practicing, being fast, qualifying, being fast, and then racing, being fast.
Yeah.
It's two, 3 different, completely different scenarios. And, Chase would go out there, practice fast, qualify fast, and race really good. So, I'm not trying to stand up for him. I get where you're coming from because the people you like, Hamlin, Logano, I can't stand either one of them. I don't like them. I'd rather see Kyle Busch and Truex win before I'd rather see Kyle Busch win every race before I saw Denny Hamlin or Logano ever win another race or ever race another race in their career. So,
I guess everybody just has their driver they like rooting against. I mean, I'm sure Chase Elliott's a great guy. I'm sure if we had,
I got to talk to him down at Kinston one time, and he was down to earth, and that's a lot like Harrison Burton. Like I don't know how he is now, but you could go up to Harrison Burton's parents whenever they'd come to Kinston and race late models. You could go up and talk to them, and man, they'd talk to you like the three of us are talking right now.
They carry on a full conversation.
I'm not better than you by no means. We're both here enjoying racing.
Right.
It was just amazing. I like Harrison. I ain't got nothing against him. But
I mean, I guess it's just one of those things. I think, I like rooting against the guy. I'm sure if I did talk to him, if I had a beer with him or whatnot, I'd be like, okay, he changed my mind. I'm still going to root against you. I would still tell him straight up, man, I like rooting against you. I don't know what it is about your face. I like rooting against you. But I mean, I don't know. It's not anything personal. It's just like Lewis Hamilton. I mean, I think he'd be cool to talk to. but I'm still going to root
Yeah,
against.
he'd be cool to talk to by all means, but doesn't mean I want him to win.
Yeah, I don't want him to win. I mean, thankfully he's only won one race this season, but I think it's just one of those things. Everybody has those drivers. I'm sure Austin has those drivers that I can't stand. And not everybody likes Chase Elliott, and not everybody likes Logano or Hamlin or Harvick. I mean, especially not everybody like Dale Earnhardt or Jeff Gordon or Dale Earnhardt Jr.
You had plenty of Gordon fans coming into when Gordon's first stepped into the series. You had plenty of fans that were, man, I am jumping on this wagon. I am jumping on the Gordo wagon, and we are going to go out there and we're going to take it to Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Yep. And when I saw him win in 2007 at Charlotte, I mean, people were throwing beer cans at him. That's when the passion was in NASCAR. When people threw beer cans at the track and that stopped happening, that's when NASCAR's flipped, in my opinion.
Well, if we're in a seat to where I can,
Please.
and I don't like the person that wins, by gosh, I'll have the shoulder loose.
Have to warm up the old labrum.
All you're going to hear is yeet, 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 yeet.
Please make sure I'm far enough away from you where I'm not with him.
I'm gonna make me a T-shirt that says "Matt threw the beer can" and wear it.
It's gonna say, "I did it. I did it."
If I get banned,
and on the back it's gonna say, "It was me."
If I get banned from NASCAR, any NASCAR event because of that, I am gonna sue you guys.
You can't prove it was me.
Well, we got it right here live for the world to see. So just saying that. But anyway, Chase Elliott winning the race. Good run for Toyotas there. Joe Gibbs Racing has some good runs there up until the end. The final pit stop that switched everything up there.
That's what made that race was that last call. Yep, some people took 2, some people took 4.
Chase Elliott stayed out along with Kurt Busch and Ryan Blaney. A lot of guys stayed out and they paid the price and they got rewarded with that with top 5s. But man, I tell you what, Toyota had a good run. Bubba Wallace, 2311 had a good run. I mean, all the Toyotas had great runs except for that last pit stop, which dropped Kyle Busch from first all the way to 21st and Martin Truex Jr. all the way to 22nd. Speaking of Martin Truex Jr., we were wrong in saying that he was going to leave or predicting that he was going to leave. We kind of said, what if he leaves? And he re-signed with Joe Gibbs Racing for another season, which Charlie, you brought up a good point yesterday talking about. I want to talk about it right now.
Yeah. I said something to you. It's like, what does this do to Kyle Busch's mentality? Like, hey, Denny Hamlin's got a couple of wins, but overall consistency and speed, Kyle Busch is toting a banner for Gibbs. Now, he doesn't have the wins to show for it. I think he's got 1, maybe 2. And Denny Hamlin's got 2. But Denny Hamlin doesn't run at the front consistently. We see Kyle Busch in the top 10 every race, top 5 every race. So, what if you're Kyle Busch and you hear, hey, we just re-signed, we just gave the guy, in the 19 car Truex, we just gave him an extension. He hasn't been performing this year, but we just gave him an extension. If you're Kyle, what's your mentality at right now? And I can tell you, it ain't good. Kyle's out there for himself and only himself right now. And I think at this point in time, he's ready to tell, Coach Gibbs to shove it up his butt.
Yeah, I think the position that Kyle Busch is in right now is a precarious one because, although he does have to win, he's locked into the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. He's going to get it past around the 16, the round of 8, and possibly race for a championship there at Phoenix if he is, getting his stuff together in the second half of the season. But that question mark is still hovering over his head until a contract negotiation is reached with Joe Gibbs that he's going to stay there. He's going to give it. I think he's not going to give it any more than he does. I think he gives 110% every lap, every race. That's just Kyle.
But he's not going to give that 111 by no means. And it's sad when Toyota is backing him and on board saying, hey, we need to keep this guy. Like, why is it even a discussion right now to, let him possibly fall through the cracks and end up with somebody like Ford or, Chevrolet, or even possibly start his own team and just say to heck with it. Hey, we'll grab Dodge when they come up to it.
No, I think if you're Toyota, you're talking to Denny Hamlin saying, let's start a third team with Kyle Busch if we could get sponsors for that. So I'm not going to.
I feel like, though, if that was the case, then he'd stay with Gibbs Primary 4 and have a sponsor rather than just staying in Toyota, going to a Gibbs affiliated team and getting a sponsor. I feel like those situations, he'd be better suited for a sponsor at Gibbs rather than he would with 2311.
Right, I would too, and I'm surprised that, for one, M&M's is backing out this season. I think they're a good partner with Joe Gibbs, Kyle Busch, and NASCAR.
They've been in the sport for a long time, man.
Very long time, and I don't know why they're backing out now, whether it's fiscal or whatnot, but they're just saying we're done. And that's unfortunate. I do like seeing M&M's on the car, and maybe in Talladega I'll buy me an M&M's hat because I just like I like what they bring to the sport, and I'm surprised that another sponsor hasn't jumped on board. It could be, Kyle Busch could sponsor his own car with Rowdy. You never know. Now, will that be beneficial for Kyle Busch? Yes and no, but that's a whole nother topic, I think, down the road, especially as silly season heats up, especially once we start getting into the final quarter and final 10 races of the season, if at that point he doesn't have a sponsor lined up or he hasn't re-signed with Joe Gibbs, where's he going? What's opening? And where could he possibly end up at the start of 2023? But I think the pressure's on, but I don't think it's going to affect his performance on the racetrack.
No, I think he's still going to keep digging. He's got something to prove. I don't know if he doesn't re-sign with Gibbs. I don't know where he would go. I feel like Toyota wants to keep him, so he possibly would go to 2311. Really don't. I wouldn't say that. I don't think he'd race with his brother. I don't know.
I could see him racing with his brother.
You could?
Yeah, I could see that. And Bubba Wallace, yeah. I could totally see that team happening. But to Charlie's point, if a sponsor hasn't jumped on board with him with Gibbs, what makes you think they're going to take a chance with a team in its junior year and still learning themselves and going with them? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Plus, it might be a conflict of interest with his sponsor, with Rowdy Energy, or his energy drink, Rowdy Energy, being in the same camp as Monster Energy. I don't know, because money talks now.
Yeah, for sure, especially in this sport.
Yep, absolutely. But that was it. Those were the races, the 4 races this weekend. Gentlemen, what was your race of the weekend and why?
I'm about to go Cup race. Xfinity race didn't hold up to what it normally does. Truck race, same thing. But in the Cup race, had last caution. Really made the crew chief scratch their heads. Do you come get tires? Do you stay out? Some elected to come in and take 2, 4 tires, and then some elected to stay out. And I think the stay out was the way to go. That allowed Elliott to win. So I'm gonna have to go with the Cup race from this weekend.
All right, Charlie, what about you? Race of the weekend from this past weekend.
Mike's muted.
Yep. Yeah, my bad. Race of the week. I didn't get to watch the SRX race, but I caught all the Truck Series race, a little bit of the Xfinity, but I got to go with the Cup race as well. I didn't think it was going to be that great of a race until I'd say the last stage. There was good racing, don't get me wrong, but everybody stretched out for the most part. There was battles for certain positions, but there really wasn't a constant battle throughout the field until the last stage or last half of the third stage, when pit strategy became everything. That's what made that race, was that last stop with 6-7 laps to go or whatever. People taking 4 tires, 2 tires, and then you got people like Elliott and maybe the 5 or 6 behind him that stayed out. And Kyle Busch took 4 tires, came back out and started at 11th. not 9th or 11th, wound up finishing 20th on 4 fresh tires. So I gotta give it to Alan Gustafson. That call, that's a tough name to say, but he made the right call, and it got him, Chase, and the rest of that team a win. So I say the Cup race by all means.
Yeah, and considering that's the only race that I watched this weekend, the Cup race would do it for me as well. Clean sweep there. We'll have to wait to see for next weekend's races, where we're going to have another road course heavy weekend for NASCAR, Formula One, and Indy Car. For NASCAR, they're racing at Road America for the Xfinity and Cup Series. The Xfinity Series, oh my goodness. I totally messed up there. I was looking ahead there. The Xfinity Series will be at Road America Saturday, July 2nd at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on USA. And the Cup Series will be at Road America as well, Sunday, July 3rd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on USA. The Formula One race from Great Britain will be Sunday, July 3rd at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I keep saying it's been on ESPN, but lately it's been on ABC. So check
the Formula One race?
The Formula One race. So check your local listings for where you can catch the Formula One race. Usually it's on, for the past few years, it's been on ESPN. Sometimes this year's been on ESPN. Just check your local listings. It's either going to be on ABC or ESPN. And finally, we're going to, 2 more races actually. The Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio will be Sunday, July 3rd at 12:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NBC.
A lot of racing this Sunday. F1, Indy, and Cup Series.
And the SRX will be racing July 2nd. I believe that's a Saturday.
It is.
At Stafford Motor Speedway.
Dirt track, I believe.
And that is usually and I think that's going to be on, if I'm not mistaken, CBS.
Yeah, CBS is what they aired on.
However, when it comes to the times, I don't know. It's usually around 7 p.m. So check your local listings for that. There's usually a couple of heat races precede that race. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys, whatever one of you wants to go first. Race winners for Formula One, Indy, Xfinity, Cup, and the SRX Series. Real quick, rapid fire. We'll start off with Charlie.
Okay. Xfinity Series, going to a road course. I think, man, Gibbs was fast, but he fell off the last road course they were at. So I got to go with, I'm going to go with Gregson. I mean, he's had speed. He's had road course speed, but he hadn't had that road course win this year. So I think he gets it done at Mid-Ohio. I think Junior Motorsports has another strong showing. Moving to the Cup race, I say, man, that's tough because, road courses has been a little weird this year. Truex is a good road course racer. I'm going to go with Truex in the Cup Series. Now that the contract negotiations are behind him, we saw a complete 180 from him this weekend. Ran well, won both the first and second stages. I think he gets it done on the road course this weekend. He's, like I say, he's a good road course racer. So he gets his win of the season this weekend and locks himself into the playoffs. F1, Verstappen's on a roll. You can't stop him right now. So he gets it done, and what makes it 2-3 in a row. So as far as IndyCar, this is always my – this is always my what ifs. I'm gonna go with Newgarden.
All right, fair enough. Good pick.
You can pick the same one.
No, it's
You just say, you know what? Charles is a smart man. I'm gonna go with all his picks. Austin, your turn.
No, I got something else. I got somebody else for the IndyCar race, unless Austin picks him. Go ahead, Austin. SRX. What do you got for SRX?
If I'm not mistaken, Stafford's a dirt track. I'm gonna go with Newman. Newman gets his first win at the SRX series.
Great pick there. What about you, Austin? Cup, Xfinity, Indy, Formula One, and SRX.
Xfinity on a road course. I'm gonna go with Mike Snyder. He showed a lot of speed the last road course they ran. I know it was in the rain.
Got caught up in a wreck. I mean,
he did, and it still showed some decent speed. Cup, I might have to go with the low hanging fruit, Chase Elliott. I was gonna pick Truex, but
he won it last year. So
my buddy picked Chase Elliott. F1, as always, Verstappen. Indy Car, I'm going to go with Colton Herta. Oh, and SRX. God.
The Kenseth.
Is he running this one?
No, he's not. Is he?
No, I know Dave. I know the Blaney, Ryan Blaney and Dave Blaney.
Strader's running this one, ain't he?
He might.
I don't know. I saw where Justin Marks is running a race. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. Justin Marks is going to make his debut. I think, was that not this past weekend? If not, it may be this coming weekend because of a scheduling issue. So I'm not sure there.
I mean, with a dirt track, you obviously got, Tony Stewart's a hothead. I mean, not a hothead, but a hot pick.
He's a little bit of both, but yeah.
Right. God, I'm not trying to pick. I'll go with Tony Stewart, dirt track.
All right, fair enough. All right, for IndyCar, I'm going to pick Will Power. He's going to win the IndyCar race at Mid-Ohio. Xfinity race, AJ Allmendinger. Cup race, Joey Logano. Formula One, George Russell gets his first win at his home Grand Prix. SRX, Ryan Hunter-Ray. That's going to be your winners for this weekend.
Talking about SRX.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we see Clint Boyer in the SRX series. I think he'd be a good one to bring in. He's drove for Stewart in the past. So I don't know, man. I just think that'd be a good one to bring in. He's got dirt track history too.
Yeah.
And that's what it come up on. So I'd like to see Clint Boyer in the SRX series, and plus I'm kind of getting tired of him in the booth. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, he's out of the booth now.
I say he's out of the booth now.
Yeah, for forever. But anyway,
I miss Haley Deegan in the SRX series. I liked her in the SRX series. I thought she ran
she'll
better.
be back at Nashville, I think.
Yeah, but I miss her there every week.
I bet you do miss her.
I do miss Haley Deegan.
Caroline. Caroline.
Yeah, I was wanting to go to the SRX race in Nashville again this year, but I got other plans, so got to come mash a button and say, you're clear inside.
What is that, 23rd?
No, the 9th.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't know you was planning on coming, but I appreciate that, buddy.
Well, that's nice of you guys. But
it's awfully white of you.
Oh, all right, guys. Anything else before we get into our final thoughts here?
No, I'm good.
I'm good. I already got the fantasy standings pulled up.
Okay, Austin's got the question of the week, and I got this week in NASCAR. Let's go ahead and get into it.
I'll start.
White flag. 1 lap to go. 1 lap, Raider.
I'm sure I put Austin on the spot there saying
Sure did. I saw his face.
You did, man. I never have a question of the week.
Like pretty sure there's a pile of poop in the bottom of that seat right now.
Well, either way, we got our fantasy standings for Rambling About Racing, our This Week in NASCAR, and our question of the week coming up here before we wrap up this episode of Rambling About Racing. Glad if you guys have stuck with us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube Live. Really do appreciate it. Or on your regular podcast platform, driving to work or driving to wherever. Glad you have joined us. It's a fun bringing you guys this show. It's fun doing this with Charlie and Austin and Preston when he's here. And, just glad that we can get together, talk racing. Like Jerry said, just kind of like, what do you say, bench talk racing? And that's really the whole point of the show, is just to talk about racing, get the word out there for everything, just like Jerry did with what's going on there with Dylan. Really Really looking forward to that. But we're gonna leave it up to you guys. You guys does Charlie want to start off?
You can go first. I'll go, and then Austin can go to give him a minute to
All right.
clean his drawers.
Or think of a question of a week. But for this week in NASCAR, we go to June 27th, 1965. Cale Yarborough drives Kenny Miller's Ford to his first career NASCAR Grand National win at Valdosta, Georgia. Yarborough takes an 18-lap lead from the finish when the engine problems in J.C. Spencer's bid for victory. And that was Cale Yarborough's first NASCAR Grand National win, June 27th, 1965 in Valdosta, Georgia. Now, Charlie, your fantasy standings, and again, disclaimer here, I was out of town all weekend, and I totally forgot to do the fantasy standings. So
you're definitely out of it now.
No, I'm not out of it.
Yeah.
That's like the second week in a row or third week in a row.
Yeah, I keep hearing the same excuse, and there's a trend going here.
Okay.
I forgot to make my picks. I was out of town.
First of all, looking at the standings now. I'm not horribly off. I need to get back into gear, but I still can squeak out a top 5 here.
Yeah, but top 5 is not that $100 card.
Well, I can't. Again, we're not eligible for the $100 card if you're the.
It doesn't matter. If I win it, I'll pick who to give it to.
And then if you lose it, you got to do something picked by Matt Beamer.
No, I don't either.
Charlie's not a team player or a fan of.
Don't ever call Charlie Hercus a non-team player. I'm the biggest team player there is. I'm just not wearing some stupid shirt all season long or some stupid freaking.
It was a hat.
Dumbass hat all year long.
You're just upset, Charlie. It's okay.
You're just mad because you're not even in the top 5 in fantasy standings.
I never was in the top 5. And to be honest
I think you hit top 5 once, and the very next race you were like, "Oh, never mind. That was short-lived."
Yeah, and I thought you said, "I'm gonna catch you by the All-Star race."
Yeah,
we get you by the All-Star race. I'm gonna be up there. Trust me.
Well, yeah, okay. Austin, stay out of it. It isn't your fight. Don't make me Tony Stewart you.
You wait the All-Star race. That's the turning point. I'm going to get you. Okay. Anyway, all right, fantasy standings.
You read the fantasy.
We're really going to start. We're really just going to read off the top 10 here because 43andMe and Z-Cleve 7. I don't think they've made a choice all year.
No, they made a choice, obviously, but they
yeah. So 10th is B93 with 2,176. 9th is the Toyota Racing Banner Summers Racing with 2,187. 8th is the Ford Racing Banner with Smokin' Woody with 2,511. 7th is our wonderful seat number 1, Matt Beamer, with 2,688 points. 6th is the Chevrolet Racing Banner Super Sumo 32 with 2,864 points. So pretty much a 200-point gap between 7th and 6th and only 1 point to keeping Super Sumo out of the top 5, which is currently held by SMR Operations, 2,865. 4th is SMR R&D, 2,876 points. 3rd is S Blades with 2,898 points. 2nd is Matt Camper with 3,019 points. And then I'm still holding the lead, and I got to stretch it out a little bit after this weekend's races. It turned out pretty good with 3,142 points. So I got about a 123-point gap right now.
All right. Well, that was, hey, you deserve it. I haven't been.
Oh, I know. Which is all the more reason why I'll just give away the card at the end of the year and be like, hey, guys, first person to comment, Charlie Hercus is the best race car driver ever, gets the card.
You don't want people to lie.
No.
That's not lying.
You want them to earn it, man.
Just because I don't have the money that some of these other people has had, and I haven't had the opportunities. Like, me and you both know some people that have had opportunities.
Oh, yes, sir, we do.
Yeah. It's gotten ugly real quick in qualifying. But or practice. But anyway,
Or loading it off the trailer.
yeah.
All right.
So anyway, moving on. Austin, question of the week, son. What you got?
What's our question of the week this week?
Yeah. So I heard him talk about it over the weekend about Justin Allgaier. If given the opportunity, does Justin Allgaier move up the Cup or does he stay in the Xfinity Series?
All right. Fair enough question right there. We have to wait.
I'm just
No,
I'll wait till next week.
Question of the week is for next episode.
That's right.
God.
I was just kidding. I raised my hand.
Well, gentlemen, I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to show up to the show again. I know it's kind of a late show. I think that's why we had such low viewership. I mean, it's 10 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock your time, 9:15 your time. So really do appreciate you guys showing up, taking the time to do this. Got to get ready for bed. Got to go back to the real world and go back to work tomorrow. So it should be fun. But gentlemen, anything else before we wrap it up here?
No, a lot of racing this coming up weekend for multiple series. So y'all watch it.
Yeah, set your DVRs and let it and stay in touch with us on all social media platforms. One of us is usually on our major platforms, except for YouTube during the race. We're usually on Facebook or Twitter talking about the race. So interact with us. We really would appreciate it. But once again, gentlemen, anything else before we wrap it up here?
No, sure. I'm good.
Charlie?
I'm good, buddy. Let's end this and call it a night and move on to next week's episode.
Sounds good, man. Couldn't have said it any better myself. And with that being said, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in to us this week, whether on your regular podcast platform, B.U.R.N.S Radio, or joined us on Facebook, Twitter, or Facebook Live, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube Live, I should say. I'd like to thank our partners for the show, Standard Decanter and Fanatics, for all they do for not only for the B.U.R.N.S Radio, but for us here at Ramblin' About Racing. Make sure to follow us at Ramblin' About Racing on all social media platforms, and those can be found at ramblinaboutracing.com. Special thanks to Jerry for promotion what he did there for Dillon Motor Speedway. And make sure to go check it out if you're in the area on July 9th. For Charlie Hercus, Austin Reeves, I'm Matt Beamer. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe and have a good rest of your week.